Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's FileMaker webinar. My name is Mike Crook, Marketing Manager here for FileMaker in the UK. I have with me Kieran Saunders, our FileMaker Product Specialist.
Good afternoon.
So just a few moments, Kieran's going to be getting started with today's presentation, which is about extending your custom apps to the web. Before he does that, I'd just like to say a couple of housekeeping items. If you have any questions during the course of the session, feel free to ask them using the questions panel on the right-hand side of your screen, which you'll see on the screen there. We'll do our best to address as many of those as we can towards the end of the session. If we don't, we'll aim to follow up with you afterwards. So until that section at the end, that's all you'll hear from me. So without any further ado, I shall hand over to Kieran to get started. Kieran.
Thank you, Mike, and good afternoon again to everybody. Thank you for joining us. So before we get cracking into the actual sort of demo part to actually go into how you can extend FileMaker to the web, let's just have a bit of a sort of level set and make sure that everyone understands what the platform contains and how it all fits together. So here's the family as a whole. And you would start off, as I will be doing, in FileMaker Pro or FileMaker Pro Advanced to build and design your solution, your custom app. Once you've done that, you would upload that to either your on-premise FileMaker server, where you've installed FileMaker server software on a dedicated machine somewhere on-premise within your data center. Or you could go with obviously one of your cloud servers or through one of our partners and use their hosting services. So once you've done that, once you're hosted and ready to go, you can then, of course, use FileMaker Pro as one of the clients to access and use the system, and all your colleagues as well, of course. That being on the desktop, of course. Then you would use our free app on the App Store for your iOS devices, for your iPads and your iPhones, and you'd use that to access the same file on the same server. And similarly, what we're going to be focusing on today is how you would use your browser using our technology that we call WebDirect, that again is coming from that same file on that same server, but just viewing it through a slightly different client, in this case a browser. So FileMaker WebDirect is a really amazing bit of technology. We've taken our most mature product, FileMaker Pro, with the ability to use all of the different feature set within FileMaker Pro, showing a few there, drop downs, radio buttons, the toolbars, all of the scripting capabilities and functionality, and just the design, the ability to create these beautiful looking layouts, forms. But then using that same knowledge, you can now utilize web technology and push that towards a browser with having almost zero knowledge of web services. You don't need to know HTML, CSS, XML, or all of the different coding sort of web technologies. We do all of that for you. All you've got to learn is the same knowledge as you would do if you wanted to develop the desktop applications and the iPad destinations. So what do you get in WebDirect? Well, you get a desktop style interaction. You get to use the beautiful themes and styles and charts that come with in FileMaker Pro. You get to drop and drag files into one of our fields that's called a container field. So therefore you can have product information being loaded up at the head office and downloaded by your partners, or conversely, some files being uploaded into a container and then being brought into the company for some kind of process. You get the ability to import and export data through the browser, which is great for those that need that. And the amazing thing is that it's updated straight away. As soon as you commit, as soon as you save that work on the file on the server, that custom app across all of those different clients are updated. So there's no need to even refresh the browser. The users on that end will get it straight away. And you get all of the power, like I mentioned before, you get all of the power to automate some of these processes using our scripting calculations and conditional formatting technology. So let's now hopefully everyone's got an idea across all of the platforms and a bit more information about our web technology. Let's have a look at a fictitious academy, Larose Academy, and what they need to do. Well, they're a very paper-heavy organization. And one of their most painful processes is the start of any school year, which of course is going to happen in the UK in a few months. And this is a private school, so they have to take registration from the parents of the children starting for the first time. And it was very paper heavy. They'd either get people coming in and filling out forms or sending in forms that would need to be retyped into the system at the end of every day. Mistakes happened, and it was just a very, very intense, slow, error-prone process. So they want to make that better. They want to try and improve it as much as they can. So they've come to see me. They know that I can do a little bit of FileMaker work, and the head has come to see me and asked how we can get this to work. Unfortunately, I just have no web skills whatsoever. And I know that I haven't really got the budget to go out to a third-party company to help me, and I certainly haven't got the weeks and months that it will take to learn and to try and get this web form, this web process automated. So it's a challenge. So I've looked into FileMaker and I've realised that there is a web technology. So I'm going to start learning, and this is what I'm going to come up with. So the heads come to me and they've given me sort of three sort of goals. They want the information to come in, via a web page would be the best one. It doesn't involve any deployment to the customers being the parents in this case, and they want it in the web. They want to somehow digitalize the registration forms. They don't want to be using paper forms anymore, and they want to optimize for those. So they want to use as much best practice as possible to make it an easy process for the parents. They don't want people ringing up to find out how to fill it in, for instance. Okay, so let's see what we can get going. Let's have a sort of for those of you who've ever opened up a new technology, a sort of a hello world. Let's see what we can get done in a few minutes. Okay, so I've got FileMaker Pro, and I'm going to start a new solution. So going up to File and New Solution. I'm just going to call it Student Web at the moment, just give it a name, and I'm going to drop it onto my desktop. So here it is. So there's the file, there's the FileMaker file. I've got the logo from the school as well. Just give me that as well. So let me just expand this a little bit. Okay, so let's look at getting started. So first off, I'm gonna get rid of these. You can see there's header, body, and footer. As this is going to be a web page, I don't need any of those. It's not going to be a report or anything in this case. So I just want the body, and that's fine. Before I do anything, let's just quickly introduce you to the themes. So we've got several themes within FileMaker that give, if I just go down a few of these so you can see they give you a different look feel for your custom app. They're just the standard ones, the ones that ship. And of course you can build upon these, give them their own names, and customize even the theme. So you can take on in this instance, the school's colors, maybe, if that's something that's important. I just want to point out that these themes are in family. You've got different families and different names for the themes, but you've also got the touch themes, and these are designed for primarily they're designed for the iOS platform. The fields are bigger. The entry fields here are bigger. The fonts are bigger. The buttons are bigger because you're going to be using fingers to touch on the buttons rather than a very small mouse pointer, and lots of other things in there that help you just get on a good track to developing a good app. In this case, I'm actually going to use Enlightened Touch for the web. Again, just because it's going to be a form, I want it to be slightly large. I don't want it to. I want it to be a bit larger than the normal. So I might as well start off with that theme, and I can customize it as I go. No real change at the moment because we've just got a blank page, but that's the theme I'm going to start using. So the first thing I'm going to go up here is click and hold on the Shapes tool just to get a rounded rectangular, just to sort of give me a header up the top here. I'm going to go into my inspection tool, which is one of the most important little floating windows in FileMaker Pro. It gives me all my tools from positioning, the different styles of objects, lots and lots of different options around text and colors. And then finally, the sort of data part where the fields are, where they're coming from, some nice things like hiding objects on a calculation, which we'll show in a minute, and some other things in there. So this is the inspector. So first off, I'm just going to change the color, and I'm going to change it to a slight blue color, maybe that middle one there, that is part of the school's colors. Okay. So that's there. Let's the second tool I'm going to be using is just the text tool up here. So it's a single click. Most of the tools here, you can click on them to select them and then start typing or positioning them onto the form. So next off, let's just give this a name. So Larose Academy. And let's just select that theme here. Let's just go into themes so you can show how these work. So most of the objects, so you'll have buttons and fields and labels, in this case just text, will have a series of sort of styles. So if I go through the rest, a few of these different text accents, you can see they're different colors as an example. So you can build, again, your own custom styles as well to go into your custom theme. In this case, I think there was one of them that's just about right. That's great. A sort of white color there. That's absolutely fine. And then maybe I'll just put in the address. So I'm just going to cut and paste that in here, just so I don't waste your time by typing it all in. So that's our address here. So if we just select that, and I can actually create that, give that a bit of a custom look. So I'll just go down into the tool here. Again, I could make that white and make that maybe 9, let's say. That's a bit too small, maybe 10. Okay. Bring that up a bit. Great. Okay, so we've got a bit of a sort of a label there on the right. What would be quite nice is I've got this logo here on the right-hand side, and I can just drag images straight into the form. So I make that a bit smaller, and something like that would be great. So while I'm on this topic, you can do that, and that's absolutely amazing. But just make sure, similar to if you've ever done any web design or learned best practice there, it's the same in FileMaker. Don't make these. Just make sure these images aren't too large, as in the size of them, the megabytes of how large they are. Try and make them as small as possible. If you've got a graphic designer as part of the company or a friend, just make them help get their skills and make sure these images are as small as you can. It really helps in terms of performance. Okay, so we've got a logo in there. That's fantastic. Well, let's start putting some of the information that we'll need as part of this process. So obviously the first one is pretty obvious, but we'll need some the information for the students. So let's have their name, their age, date of birth, and let's go with their address details as well. So address, city, and postcode. Okay, so as you can see, we can very quickly create the field entries that we need. The only one that we need to change is this date of birth, which would be handy. Instead of being text, that could be a date field. That'd be great. Okay, so let's start putting this on. So before I do that, I'm going to just create another sort of section, if you like, for this information to go on. So I'm just going to draw this on. Just get that field picker out of the way. There you go. You can see these blue lines coming up as I drag them in, which helps me position all the objects on the layout. Just make sure they're all aligned, which makes them look better, of course. So that's great. So let's have that section just make it a little bit bigger and drag the form down as well, so I've got more room. And then I'll bring up that field picker and show you how this works. So we've got the student details. So let's bring in a name, age, and date of birth. So different ways of bringing them in. I'll just show you both. So just to show you how it works. So I could bring them on, and that's great. But what I'd quite like them is all in a line with the label at the top, this being the label, and the big sort of white box being where the parents will be typing in that information. So let's just change these field placement options here. So they're going to be horizontal now with a label at the top. So let's bring them in. Fantastic. Okay. So just a little tip for you here, because we've got this object, we're now layering objects on top of other objects. It would be hard to select the different objects when they're on top of each other. So what's quite nice to do is just to right click an object, and you can arrange and lock that object, and therefore you won't select it when you're doing a big selection tool there. You'll just select the objects that you want to select. Okay, so let's just do that and move some of these around just to give them a bit of space. Okay, great. What's the other thing I was going to do? I was going to just put a bit of a label at the top here. That's great. So move student information up the top there. Again, I'm just going to bring up my inspector window and make sure that it's colored correctly. So there's the color tools there. You can go in, and if you click in the middle of this little magnifying glass, I could go and make sure that it's exactly the same color as my header there. That's one little tip. Okay, so let's bring in the other information, then we'll do a bit of cleaning up. So address to postcode, I want it horizontally with the label on the top again. Line them up. Yeah, and that looks good. And maybe again, just give them a little bit of space. Fantastic. Okay, looking pretty good. So one of the things we could change, apart from making this age maybe a bit smaller, don't need that many, they're not going to be that old, we could bring in a date picker tool, which would be a great way of bringing in information into this date of birth field, something that a bit bigger. So it's in the inspector over to the data side here, and so 1, 2, 3 down is control style. So instead of just being a free text entry edit box, we could make it any of these number of different controls, and the ones we want is the drop down calendar. And the second little option down the bottom there, include a little icon if you saw that come in, just so that they know to select it. Okay, everything else looks pretty good, so I'm just going to exit that layout and save it, and just click on the new record here, just so we've got a record. So Bob, who's 5, and when they were born, somewhere around there. I'm probably not getting it right. That's 6, isn't it? There you go. So you can bring it in and work out where they're from and everything else. Okay, so nice and easy there. Now let's see how we get this into the web very quickly. So we've got some information there, that's great, and we're starting to design it, but we can upload it to the server and still continue to work on it. So let's see how we do that. So I've already got a server, I've actually got a server installed on my laptop here, So this would be on on-premise install. You wouldn't do it on your laptop, but you can do it as a test, obviously, as we're doing today. So there's two ways of doing it: file, sharing, and upload to FileMaker Server. There's also an icon on the toolbar there, upload to FileMaker Server. So we can do that. So it's warning us that we haven't got security set up yet. So I'm just going to set a password on there just to make it a bit more secure because we're hosting it now. It's going to close the file. And then bring up an option of where do you want to put this. I've got my file there, my server there, sorry, and you would probably have yours saved in your favorite host there. So it's ready to be uploaded. Click on the upload button. It gets processed, transferred up to the server, and then opened up with FileMaker Pro again. So here it is being opened again. This time I'm being challenged for my username and password. And I'm back in again. So the reason you now know it's hosted is the name of the file there, student web, is now in brackets Nessie15 is the name of my server, and it's now not this file here. So this file is the one that's local, but it's not the one I'm now working on. So that you need to be aware of that once you've uploaded the server, you're obviously using it on the server. How you would get to it, just in case you close that file, you would go back to FileMaker Pro and go to File, Open. Just bring that over. Go to File, Open, and then you would browse. You may have it in My Solutions, but you browse to your server, find the one that you're going for, which is Student Web. You can favorite that, and then that will be in your favorites file there, and you can open it up again. So that's the way you would get to it in the future. Okay, so we're back in. So let's just take a pause there just to see what we've done. No, I'm sorry, we won't take a pause there. We'll show it to you in a browser first, and then we'll take a pause and see what we've done. So that's great. We've now got it hosted, and we're using FileMaker Pro to go on the solution. And just to sort of show you, I can go in and do edits. I can change the file. I can develop it still, just so you're sort of aware of that. So it's hosted. It's on a server. It's not on my laptop necessarily anymore, but I can still keep on developing and improve it as we go. But I'm viewing this through FileMaker Pro, which is the desktop client. I want to see it in my browser. So if I just bring up FileMaker, the Chrome, and I'm going to go to the address of my server. So in this case, it's localhost, which is a shortcut for this machine. But you would type in the name of your server /FMI/WebD for WebDirect, and up would pop a series of, usually there'll be the server starter solution that's open. But as you can see, I haven't got student web, the one we've been working on. So it's not accessible via the browser yet. So I have to make some changes. So let's just go into File, File Sharing, Configure FileMaker WebDirect. And this one, I can select the file I want, and usually I would specify a privilege set. So that's a group, so it could be sales or editors, whatever it may be, your groups of users, or in this case, maybe web. You would create one in the web. We're not going to go into how to create security, but just so you know, it is there. You can create users and groups with different privileges on this file. In this case, just for the demo, we're just going to select our users so we can quickly put it in there. You see this last option down the top is also a little bit of added securities. You could have it accessible via WebDirect, but don't display it in the Launch Center. So it's not, nobody knows it's there if they don't know the name of the file. Okay, I'm just going to go back to Chrome and refresh that page, and hey presto, it's there. Another nice thing to do, I think, is that you can create a custom icon for your file, especially if you imagine maybe this is a company intranet sort of system. So you can go in and change the file. So I'm back in FileMaker Pro here. I can go to the file options. There they are. File options, go in, and there's lots of different options in here. This is quite an important little dialog. You can open the file with a standard account, which is usually what you do. So in this case, I might just put in my username and password, so I just get logged in automatically, which is nice. You can switch to a particular layout when you load, which is also really nice. I don't need to do that as I've only got one, but this is how you would create a custom icon. So you go into this section and upload a logo to the file. So let's go back to browser, just refresh that page, and hopefully, yep, there you go. So we've got a nice little logo to go with our web app. Okay, so let's see how this looks and how it performs. So we can go in here and actually say maybe he's actually 7, so that's incorrect as well, and change some of that data. If we look in FileMaker Pro, so the desktop application, you can see that data's changed, and vice versa. You can see the other way around, that file would change once we do a little bit of a refresh on that one. There you go. Normally you wouldn't need to do a refresh. I think it's just because we're starting off with one record. But the data is interchangeable. You can see that it's very, very simple to start to create this web app. Okay, so let's just let's take a sort of a recap of the sort of goals. So the first sort of goal was just to get this information, into the web, just where and when we want it. So it's not one of the advantages of FileMaker, and it's a big one, is that the information just isn't just in the web; it's on the desktop. So you can have people that are close to that, close to the organization, the sort of the headquarters team, in this case maybe the admin team of the school, and they can look at it within FileMaker Pro. They don't need to look at it in a browser, while of course the parents aren't going to have a copy of FileMaker Pro, so they can use the web portal. And you could also have maybe the head wants to use it on on her iPhone, and she can use FileMaker Go. So it's the information is where and when you want it. So I think that's a tick. So the next stage is just to build out this registration forms, and we want this process digitalized. So let's go ahead and further sort of build this out. Okay. So one of the things I think I forgot to put in to the student information is their gender. That would be text, so that's fine. So let's drag that out. Great. And what would be nice here is instead, similar to what we did with the date, is to have a spot that wasn't equal. Let's just make this a sort of selection, male or female. So let's see how we do that. So back into the inspector, and it's in this control style here. So instead of an edit box, we're going to select either a checkbox or radio button. The difference is the checks, you can have both ticked. In this case, we want a radio button. Only one is correct. So let's go in and select and create a new value list. So value list is kind of what it says on the tin. It's a list. In this case, we want male, female. It's a list that you can select from. So we're just going to use custom values. Of course, you could use values from within FileMaker, within a field itself, or within, in some cases, within another database, let's say. So male, female. Okay, great. Male, female. So if we just bring that slightly up, we'll get them to move position, but either is fine in this case. So let's see how that looks. Great, perfect. Okay, so let's go and have a look at the other section that we want to build out. So one of the ones that would be nice was the sort of information, required documents that they're going to need to bring along or to have accessible to join the school. So let's go ahead and build out another. I'll just edit the layout there and select another rounded rectangle. I'm going to create some more space for me in the form here. Great, so I'm just going to duplicate that title. Okay, so just a nice little title there. So the required documents. So let's have a look at some of the info that's required. So the first one is the enrollment date. The other is the enrollment grade. Make sure that's capitals. You can see I can go in and change the name here. It doesn't really matter, but as you can change the label, but it takes the name of the field here as the label, so it saves you time if that's correct. So let's see, what else do we need? Well, we need proof of age and proof of address. Okay, so let's bring this in. So maybe the two enrollments can come in first. And again, I'm just going to lock this this back panel here. Okay, bring that over a bit. And again, maybe just for neatness, I'll just select the, where am I there? The drop-down calendar. This is going to be a date. And let's bring in the others. So proof of age, let's go back here. Proof of age and proof of address. And for this case, we're going to bring them in one next to each other. Sorry, underneath it. So they're going to be quite long ones. So proof of age. So again, we're going to go in and create a checklist this time. Checkbox set. So a new value list. So in this case, it's going to be all the different certificates that prove age. So birth certificate, maybe the hospital record. Passport would be a good one, I suppose, and so on. So let's just use those to start off with. So that's great. And while I'm here, I can create a list for the other side as well. The proof of address. So utility bill. Rental agreement. Payroll. Council bill, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. Okay, so we've got a list of sort of documents that they can prove where they live. Okay, so that's okay that. So now I selected the wrong one, so let's go back in. So the first one was the proof of age that we're going to use. Just drag that out so they're in a line here. And the proof of address, again, checkbox set, and we're going to use the proof of address ones. Great. Okay, so let's see how that looks quickly. Okay, so yeah, we can select the different sort of, or the parent can select, enter that data and bring in sort of select which documents they're going to bring in. So fantastic, that's all great. So let's so instead of just going through a lot more of this sort of creating, it's a similar process. Let's sort of slip to one I made earlier, and let's see how that looks and what I've done. No, before I do that, just let's teach you one more thing before we go on and see some more stuff. So one of the things that would be good is as part of this digitalization is maybe to help people. So one of the things we'd quite like to do is to have maybe some stars around whether they've created it correctly or not. So let's go and have a look at how you would do that. So first off, we're going to put a little asterisk against, say, the proof of age. So let's go and do that. So that's just going to be a text symbol with just an asterisk there. And we put it next to the proof of age. So we can go in and select when that's going to show. So let's go in and have a look. So what we could do is, first thing to do is to right click it and just select conditional formatting. And here you can add and change the look feel of an object based on data that's within some of the other fields. So in this case, it's easier to show you than not. So we can specify that the proof of age, so we've got, let me just explain this dialog box here. So we've got the sort of data, if you like. Here's all the labels, all the fields that we've been typing in here on the left-hand side. Here is how the calculation, what the calculation will be when we start typing in here. In this case is, no, we'll do that in a minute. And on the right-hand side here is the operation, so the brackets, the adds and takeaways, and the logical nots and ors and so on. And then finally, right on the right is the functions, what you want to do with all of this information. There's lots of very, very nice sort of, I'm trying to find one that's applicable. Get current data is a good one. I think I've flipped through, but you know, a function that would get today's date to do something with that bit of data. So let's see. So what we want to do is actually turn this red if one of these is not ticked, just to sort of warn them that it's not ticked. So let's go ahead and do that. So one of the functions that's great is empty. So we just have to double click it on the right hand side and bring it into the to the middle. So is empty the field, and proof of age would be a good one. So if that's true, let's change the text color to an angry red color. So simple as that, I hope. Let's go and test it and see what it looks like. So if I untick it, so if it's unticked, we get a sort of red asterisk there, just to sort of as part of the user interface, part of using best practice in the web. So that's a nice sort of a start on there, and we could go on and do a lot of other stuff on that. Let's just, like I was saying, let's go sort of into sort of stage 2, if you like, and see what we can do. So before that, I'm just going to double check on our goals. So we're certainly starting to digitalize the forms. We're getting much more of that process in there, and we're looking at getting all that process there, as well as the next stage is sort of optimizing it for the web. Okay, so let's have a look back at the solution, and I'm just going to go into the solution here, which is the second one. So I'll show it within the browser first then. So building upon what we've done, we've just cleaned it up a little bit. One of the nice little things, I'll show you how to do this, a nice little sort of the 1, 2, and 3 part here. Lots more sort of information about the parent. But it's all looking really nice, looking really great. So let's bring it up in FileMaker Pro and sort of show you what else has been happening here. Bring that over. Okay, so I said I was going to show you how we've done this 1, 2, and 3. Well, it's actually sort of 3 objects all built up. So it's a white circle, which is just hidden here, just as oval there, and just a 1. So just 3 objects sort of layered on top of each other to create this rather nice little sort of effect. Okay, so let's have a look at what else we can do. Maybe we could have some kind of submit button down the bottom. So once the parents have filled out all this information, a submit button down the top to submit that information, and a little check in the workflow to make sure that we've got, you probably do lots of other checks, but just to sort of prove it out, check that you've got proof of age, and then either show an error message or say, you know, show a dialog box saying thank you very much for doing that. So we're going to go into the scripting environment. Let's see how that works. So up to scripting and script workspace. And we're going to create a new one, so that plus button to the left. That's our new script here. So we'll call it submit. And you can put, you can just start typing in here and get some sort of comments. You can sort of comment your script to say, you know, this is submit the form. You would probably put a bit more information in there and the date and who did it and so on, just so that when you come back to this maybe in a couple of months, you'll know what you were trying to achieve here. Okay, so let's put in a few other bit of space in there. So let's see what we want to do. Well, we want to do the same check really as we did. So we want to say, we want to find out if the proof of age is empty, show a custom dialog box that tells them what's wrong. Else we want to show a custom dialog box saying thank you very much, your child is enrolled, and exit the application. Okay, so let's see how we do that. So the first one we're looking for is the if statement. So you can either type it into this search and find it on the right hand side here. If you click on it, not double click, if you just single click, you'll see a little bit of a description here and also some further help that will go off to our website and tell you a bit more about that particular function, and most importantly some examples, which I personally of course find that's the most useful thing of the help, not just the description but how it's generally used. Okay. So again, we could double click here and bring in the if statement. I'll just delete that out. Or if once you get more confident, you can just start typing in, it auto completes within the main window here. So we're following the same logic. So if is empty, and we need to find the field which is proof of age, is the one we wanted. Proof of age is empty. What do we want to do? We want to show a custom dialog box with a title and a message. So I don't know, error is a horrible way of doing it, probably something else. Whoops, maybe is a better. But error message, you know, please select the proof of age document, whatever it may be. And then we're going to do an exit script just to bring that out. We can also of course put an else in here, and what we're going to do is do the same thing, show a custom dialog. Your child's now enrolled. Fantastic. And we're not going to do anything, but we could at this stage then maybe send them to another layout or send them to the school's homepage, let's say, something like that. But we'll leave that as is for the second. So I'm just going to save that script and come out of it, and then put a submit button down the bottom of where they will be able to do it. So let me just give myself some room down here and come up to the toolbar and select the button, make it a nice big one maybe, sort of center it here. There you go. There you go. Okay. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to perform a script, and we want to select the script that we've just created. So that's fantastic. We can also get the option to have sort of images in here as well as text. So we could have something that looks like a sort of a submit icon, or you can bring in your own as well. You can add here and go off and choose your own logo that you could use as well. I'm not saying anything that I particularly like, so I'll leave that as just submit the application. But what I will do is just change the color a little bit. It's a little bit boring, so I'm going to change it to something nice and friendly, or maybe a blue that matches the rest of the design, whatever you'd like. You can go in and, of course, bring in your own custom look and feel. Okay. So let's see how that looks. So let's just make sure. So we haven't selected the proof of age. I'm going to hit that submit button, and we get a nice little custom box dialog with the error. Please submit it. So if we put that on there as well, so that shouldn't come up. Before I hit the button, I'm just going to introduce you to, sorry, that was the wrong one, introduce you to the script debugger. So we can see here, as I click on Submit Application, it's going to sort of walk me through what's going on. So it's hit that, the script that we selected, it's going through the logic, it's skipped over if it is empty because it's not empty, it's gone to the else bit, show a custom dialog, great, your child is now enrolled, okay, and exit that script. So it's a really nice way of working visually because the layouts change and you can see the data. Your scripts being sort of, when you have to fault find them, unless you're perfect, you're gonna introduce some errors as you go through. So there's script debugger. Okay, so we've got we're really getting there now. We've got this adding in the sort of and let's see how it looks on the web as well. Of course, let's just bring that over to the website. Go to the file that we're working at. So we can see that we've got the same thing in here. So if we unselect the button, error, please select the proof of age, we can see the same sort of functionality working within a browser, which is where we're aiming to bring this to, of course. Okay, well, we're really getting there. So let's look at the sort of one of the last things that's really nice to do. As you can see within WebDirect, we sort of, as default, bring in a sort of similar to FileMaker Pro, we bring in a kind of tool set at the top here, so you can switch to layouts. We can switch between records and so on. But of course, you don't want a parent looking at other people's records. So what we're going to do is to hide this toolbar as they enter into this custom app, this web app. So let's go see how we do that. We're actually going to do that via a script. So we're going to add a new script here. So opening script, sometimes called on window first open, but just so you get the idea, opening script. And we're going to, we would of course comment it, but for the sake of time, we won't. So what we're going to do is use a, if we just go over to here. Nope, not that one. Try again. Get system platform was the one I was looking for. As you can see, we get a little bit of help as we tab down onto it as well. So this function will return a number representing the current platform. What that means is, what client are you? So in this case, we're looking for the number 4, which would specify that it's a browser, that it's that you're using WebDirect. So if it does equal 4, we're going to want to go to a particular layout if we had more. In this case, we've only got one, but I can still show you how to do it. So we would want to go to the website. There's actually 2 layouts. So we want to go to the right layout, so the right form, obviously. So we want to control that. And then we want to hide toolbars and menu bars. And the next thing we want to do, because we're going to, we want to go to a blank record. We want to create a new entry for this new registration. It's a workflow. And of course, the first thing we want to do is create a new record. Okay. So else maybe, I don't know, we could go to a different layout. We assume we're in FileMaker Pro and we go to a developer's layout, maybe something like that. But you can control it and have a different sort of menu. Okay, so let's see how this works. So obviously we can't really test this too well in Pro. Oh, And the last thing I have to do, of course, I forgot, is you have to kick this off. So you have to, how do you make this script be triggered when somebody goes to this custom app? Well, in this case, we would go to script triggers, and there's a series of triggers based upon when the very first window or form is opened, and that's the one we want. But you could also do it when it closes, when you open any window or close any window. So let's select that on first window opening and select the opening script to run. Okay, and that should be it. So let's have a go. And if we now go into that, we can see that you could see the toolbar appearing and then it disappeared. So let's go and have another look at that. That's much better. So it's going in. I think that was there was something in the cache there. So now every time you're going to that solution, you've got a link maybe from your main website, you'll be going in there and getting a brand new record and the ability to then go in. You can't see any other records and it's much more secure. Okay, fantastic. Let's just go back to the keynote and just make sure that I've covered off everything. So, what did we do there? Well, we really got down to optimizing for the web. We were using submit buttons with some error checking. We were making sure through security that people could only see their own records. It was very simple. We're giving help to people, and they could do it all on the web at their convenience. And all that data was flowing into the head office where you could view all of that information within FileMaker Pro. You could write reports and charts and whatever else we wanted to do to help the team there once all this information, the forms and so on have come in. So I hope that helped. We'll just go over sort of what you need to get going with this, and then we'll open up for some questions. So of course you're going to need some kind of hardware to run the FileMaker server on. We recommend Windows Server 2008 and sort of upwards, or running it on a Mac on OS X 10.8 and above. If you've got an IT department, they're gonna want to know if you've got an on-premise site. They're going to know what firewall ports to open up. There's a knowledge base article on that, which is 12120 on our website. You're going to probably want to install what is called an SSL certification. Again, it's added security so that the traffic between the browser and your server is encrypted. Very important in today's world. You're probably going to want to do that. And it's much, much easier to do that in 15 to go to one of these third-party certification companies to get your certification of your company. Again, you probably want to talk to your ID department about that. Obviously, you're going to need access to the internet. And put your database as we've been going on. A static IP address, again, you just talk to your IT department on how to do that, so that the parents will have a link to go to that's always the same. And you're going to need some kind of licensing. So we've got a new licensing scheme with FileMaker 15, which is called FileMaker Licensing for Teams. It's very, very easy to understand. Basically, you work out how many users are going to use your system, and you count them up. And every single one of those users can either use WebDirect, FileMaker Go, or FileMaker Pro for user connections. So they can use any of those clients to access your system. Now, in this case, when we're talking about a school and and parents, you don't know how many people are going to come on. It's not a team. It's you're going out to some other third-party people or partners. Then you're probably going to want to give our sales team or your FileMaker developer who can resell these licensing for you. You can talk to them about how you can get a concurrent license that would work much better in that situation. But there's a couple of options there for getting WebDirect out to work within your server. Okay. So if you were looking at FileMaker licensing for Teams, you could go to our web store and click on the number of users. Very, very simple, like I say, and get a sort of an idea of what would work for you. I just thought I'd bring up some of those figures. But like I say, you can go to our website, go to the web store and have a look at what would work for you. So on a sort of 10 users, it works out around about sort of £8.50 per user per month. So that's the kind of cost you're looking at for a 10 user solution, or several solutions. I actually got asked the question the other day: is that how many custom apps can I put up? And it's not unlimited. I believe that the number per server is 125. So I think that's more than enough than is needed for every company. Okay, well, I hope that at least gives you some information on looking at FileMaker and how you can expand and extend FileMaker custom apps to the web.